Hello, everybody, and welcome to Backstage Pass, where we interview and get to know amazing people doing amazing things in this world, especially in America. Today, I have an incredible guest. He's a hero in my estimation. Uh, he's a servant's heart to the max. Uh, he's 26 years in the U.S. Marine Corps, retiring in 2019, but he didn't stop there. He went on to serve others, and he's still serving today. He served 18 commands in the military and served numerous countries, including Iraq and Afghanistan. Pretty amazing. And so he's won numerous awards. And without further ado, I want to please introduce you to Sergeant Major Mario P. Fields. Mario, welcome. How you doing?
Jeff, I am doing amazing, and I noticed at the warm introduction you mentioned the words "amazing people" and an amazing person. But before we get to me, you're amazing, everyone. So I don't have a special
Oh,
button on my platform, but
well,
I feel blessed to be on a virtual stage with another amazing human that's done some wonderful things for folks around the world. So thank you.
thank you. That means a lot to me. And yeah, I didn't serve, and that's a whole story in itself. I wanted to be a fighter pilot. Didn't I wore contacts and everything, so I decided to become a pilot on my own. But I'm extremely patriotic, and I don't take for granted what we have here. I'm grateful for you individuals, men and women that serve. And yesterday was Memorial Day, which is such a beautiful day to honor those who have served and those we've lost. So we owe so much. I tell people, if you don't like America, there's no line to get out. So go check out other places, and you'll be back very soon.
Yeah.
So um, so you've got a resume that's just unbelievable. And now I want to just go into quickly your military life, and then talk about your civilian life now.
Mhm.
And what inspired you to, when you were growing up, to go join the military? What was the thing that made that happen?
Great question, Jeff. My older brother, he's 17 months older than I am, and we grew up in Michigan. And out of nowhere, man, when he graduated high school, he said, "I'm going to join the Navy." And I was like, "Wow,
Mhm.
wow, Raymond, that's pretty cool." And when he came
Yeah.
home from boot camp, he was so in shape, Jeff. He was mature, focused, and I wanted that. I was like, I'm a party guy. I love my mom and dad, but if I go to the University of Michigan, because that's where I wanted to go, I was like, I'm gonna probably party too much and get in trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so I said I don't want to be just like my brother. I don't want to join the Navy because people may go, "Oh, you're just like your older brother." So I said, "Well, let me just join the Marines. I think, it's a challenge. I can get some discipline, and I think boot camp would be similar to Navy boot camp." And so that's kind of what what kicked it off.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, not knowing that Marine boot camp is probably pretty hard.
Yeah, I'm telling you, yeah. So that's
Um,
kind of what started the lifetime of service.
yeah, that's amazing. And you served in 18 commands, I
Mhm.
hear here, deployed to numerous countries. You received numerous awards, including the Legion of Merit and the Bronze Star. Was that in combat, or how was that?
Yeah, so the Legion of Merit essentially was for performance when I was in Japan, and there's a lot of metrics to that, but the main one I would like to talk about is I was a C-level consultant, for the private sector. That's equivalent, So our majors are
Okay.
like a C-level consultant, and I helped
Yeah.
the general, lead and manage over 40,000
Wow.
people, that's civilians, soldiers, sailors, partners, and this is also throughout the archipelago of Asia Pacific. And then the
Okay.
Bronze Star was yes, it was awarded from combat operations in Afghanistan. And prior to Afghanistan, we were essentially on a 6-month deployment that turned into almost a 1 year deployment
Hmm.
from 2010 to 2011.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I can't imagine combat. I mean, I'm a Second Amendment guy. I love to go to the range and shoot and practice, but having it returned back at you, I don't think most of society can even relate to what that would be like. And so you guys that are willing to go out and do that is it's pretty remarkable, and we owe so much. And then after your retirement, you transitioned into civilian life. Tell us
Mhm.
about that. What did you go on to do with that?
Well, I would tell you real fast, Jeff, before we get into the civilian life, is when I was in Afghanistan, the the choice of weapon actually wasn't shooting at you; it was the IEDs, the improvised explosive devices.
Mm, yeah,
So yeah, so that was our main, kind of challenge was you couldn't see them,
yeah.
and you didn't know where they were. And also part of my Bronze Stars, I got blessed. I stepped on three to perform a medical evacuation from an injured sailor, and I saw myself and a young Marine named Corporal Nolasco at the time. Once we stepped on them, didn't realize we stepped on them. I don't think we were heavy
Wow.
enough to set them off. Thank goodness.
Wow.
But
Wow.
once we evacuated three Marines and one injured sailor, and we got all the equipment, then they subsequently, within a 24-hour period, detonated at different times, and we were like, "Holy smokes, that's like
Wow.
where we stepped." So, just want to highlight
Yeah.
that part is that it's not like it used to be, where
Yeah.
you kind of got gunfire, you kind of can see where it's coming, and now it's the unknown of the improvised explosive devices.
Well, and as
So
you know, we've lost so many limbs that
yeah.
aside from the killing, it's the loss of limb and which affects them the rest of their life, you know.
Hmm.
So and I can't imagine walking around in a field or whatever, not knowing if your next step is going to be your last. So it's pretty remarkable. And then you got out 2000, was it 19?
Yes.
Yeah. And then you went on in civilian life, and you're still a servant's heart. You're still serving.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so when I transitioned out, I always had a passion for helping people. Matter of fact, recently in the last 4 years, Jeff confirmed through this self-assessment through the United States Department of Labor, amazing resource, and my highest attribute was humanitarian through science.
Hmm.
I do have Christian beliefs, and I said, so through prayer, how can I still serve? And that's where my nonprofit, Still Serving Incorporated, that vision came about. And so it created this vehicle for me to continue to serve and give back and make a difference for the next generation of humans. And so I've been
Wow.
doing that going on 7 years now.
Well, and then you help other uh, ex-military or current military is as well, right? Helping them with their struggles and things like that.
Yeah, I do. In my part-time job is I'm a United States Department of Labor contractor facilitator, and what we do is, or what I do is I actually facilitate employment workshops for transitioning service members and veterans. We do about 50,000 a year here
Wow.
in the North Carolina, Jacksonville area. Yeah, and it's world class. Matter of fact, I did some research. If these workshops were offered in the private sector, they would be valued at about 40 to 60K. And so that's the
Wow.
value of information that those who volunteered to serve, that's
Yeah.
what we help facilitate, that they get to help them transition back into the civilian
Mhm.
sector and transfer those soft skills that are much needed.
So you help them transition into civilian life, and then yeah, and I can imagine that. I know we hear about PTSD and the suicide rate and all of that of
Yeah.
the military. What do they say, 22 a day or something? Some
Yeah,
crazy
that's kind
number.
of that number out there. I believe it's probably higher, but you know how this, Jeff. That my belief is that first responders, and Barb and I talked about this a little bit, but those who serve, first responders, doctors, service members, those rates are too high. Just they're just high.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then you are also married to a lovely lady, Nicole, and you're coming, and she was a veteran, correct?
Mhm.
And you're coming up on your 30th wedding anniversary, I understand.
Yeah,
Tell me that love story.
Jeff, we actually just surpassed it. We literally, we just
Okay.
eclipsed that wonderful mark. And yeah, yeah, I met Nicole in Pensacola, Florida, and she's a sailor, I'm a Marine, and eh, I'll tell you, she made me her boyfriend. And
Nice.
she goes, "This is my boyfriend," and she introduced me
Oh,
to some ladies, and I was like, "I guess I am." And I
uh,
made her, and then 4 months later, I made her my wife. So I've never
four
proposed.
months? Wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I've never proposed to Nicole, and so that's our story. She made me her boyfriend. I made her my wife.
Wow. Was she like, wait a minute, we just met? No.
Jeff, the interesting thing is, she when we met, she goes, "I do not want a relationship." I said, "That's cool," because I never
Uh-huh.
wanted to get married. And I said, so I
Okay.
was the third kid. I looked at both my parents and I said, "This kid, Mario Pierre Fields, you will never come to a wedding." And my mom and dad like, "Okay, Mario."
Famous
And
last words.
and it, yeah. So that's what happened. And we love
Yeah.
each other more now than we did when I was 19 and she was 21 when we got married.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, you know the power. They're great creatures, aren't they?
Right, right.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
so um, I'm looking through some notes here. Now, also you're a podcaster, right?
I
You have
am.
your own podcast. Yeah.
I
Tell me
do.
about that.
Unarmored Talk podcast. It's about to hit its fifth year. Jeff, I love it. Matter of fact, one of these days I would love to host you on the show.
I'd be
Um,
honored.
I
Wow.
I
Yeah.
would be too. But essentially, it's a human podcast, and I bring guests on to
Hmm.
remove their armor. I believe every human has a layer of metaphoric armor, and to come in and open up about whatever that thing could be. It could be a promotion, it could have been a failure at something, whatever. And then what
Hmm.
emotions did you experience? And then how did you
Hmm.
think through it? Because to think is a choice. And so
Yeah.
that is the framework of the Unarmored Talk podcast.
I love the armor metaphor. I wrote a song called War,
Mm,
and it's right out of Ephesians. It's literally, it's about good against evil. And one of the lines goes, put on your armor,
hmm
and it's just stand up for what is right. This is our battle cry, and so it's, we're living in a world that, as you know, the enemy is out to get us,
Yeah.
and the enemy, we can't see that enemy, but we can sure feel it. And
Amen.
so it's there's spiritual warfare going on all the time, and we all have gifts. Everyone, God gave us each a gift. We all have different gifts. I could want to play golf like Tiger Woods, but it's probably not going to happen. So we all have something that God gave us that we do well. And so I try to encourage people, go find that gift, whatever that is, and go do good things with it and try to make a living at it. That's even better. And God wants us to have a servant's heart. You've devoted your life to being a servant, and it's pretty remarkable, and continuing to do so. So
Yeah.
it's
Jeff,
pretty.
and you
Yeah.
mentioned God's talents. I have to tell you this little secret. It's not really a secret, but I really admire you because one of my dreams is to sing in a band, and I don't have the aptitude to do any of it. So when I see folks like you, I was watching one of your shows when you perform Simple Man, and
Oh,
I love how Jeff is so natural. Like you said, it's God's gift. And I was like, but if you
oh,
put Mario on the stage, the audience will run. So thank you for
nah.
being in your God
You
given.
join us anytime, Mario. We'll have you up on there. We'll give you a tambourine or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Hey, I don't think I would lose too many subscribers and followers if you did that for me.
Oh, they'd love it. We'll get you our special guest tonight, Mario P.
Oh yeah,
Fields.
dude, I would, Jeff. One of these days we got to do it. and I just have a little
Yeah.
mic with a tambourine, and that would be my
Yeah. Well, we might make that happen. You never know.
you
Might
never know.
surprise you one day. We'd love to have you come hear the band sometime. The guys are great.
Yeah.
Um, what's in your own words, what's living a life of service look like to you?
To me, and I would tell you, not even my own words, when I was in ICU about 24 months ago, I was sepsis. And to this
Mm,
day, Jeff, the doctors don't know how the bacteria got in my bloodstream. And I
yeah.
survived it.
Wow.
And that almost 30 days in two hospitals, in ICU in both hospitals, and I couldn't move. You know what I mean? Like I was just sick. But
Mm,
it gave me a lot of time to reflect.
yeah, I
And
bet.
then and in my and I was comfortable with dying. And the reason why is I reflected on my life and I said, if someone can live where you die, but your impact outlives you, then I believe you will never die. And that's a very meaningful way to live. And it
Mm,
was that moment about 2 years ago that's what serving meant to me is being authentic
wow.
in giving when you don't even have enough to give potentially. Maybe you're going to suffer for the money you donate or the time you give. And not looking, Jeff, for anything in return and being
Yeah.
able to be on your, having, I call it a cup of coffee with death. And
Mm.
you're comfortable because you can reflect back on your life and go, I'm good because I actually gave. And that's,
That is
yeah.
awesome.
And that's
That's
what,
profound.
mhm,
Yeah, I wrote a song called One Life, and it's about living each day. You know, there's those two dates we all talk about, the day we're born, the day we die,
yeah.
and that dash in between. We don't know how long or short we get.
Mhm.
And it's what we did while we were here. You know,
Right.
the lives, I heard somebody once say there you don't see a U-Haul behind a hearse, all the stuff, all the money, it's meaningless. It's all kind of borrowed temporarily in this journey we call life. And so it's the people that we touch along the way, the kindness we gave, the servant's heart. So in what you just said, it's so profound. I love that.
Oh,
And
thank you.
yeah, and sometimes in your deepest, darkest hours is when we reflect on that even most. You know,
Mhm.
you're laying up in hospital for a month or whatever. Um, what's next for you? What are you looking at doing next? What's Mario's next? I talk about pre-flighting talk about metaphors. I relate aviation to life, and I put that in my book. You know, do you pre-flight your life? Do you have a destination? Are you the captain or are you an autopilot? And so what's next for Mario Fields? I know he's not an autopilot.
Yeah, beverages are being served right now, you know what I mean? There's some pretzels and
Yeah.
ginger ale going around the cabin. Um,
Okay.
what's next for me is really, really enjoying being a grandpa for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Our granddaughter's about to be 1 year in August, and really just
Wow.
setting the stage for our granddaughter. I mean,
Would
that's
you
been
start
my
when you were five? You got a granddaughter. You don't look old enough to be a grandpa.
I'm, and I'm unarmored. I'm 50, and a lot of people
Wow.
go, "You don't even look like." I got AARP in the mail, man. When people, so
Nice.
yeah, they look at me, and they go, and Nicole looks young as heck too, and they go, "You're what?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm 50, man."
That's awesome.
But
Yeah. I'm a grandfather. I got three grandkids. Yeah, they're pretty amazing. And you can
yeah, so
spoil them and hand them back. Here you go.
that's it, and so that's personally, Jeff, that's in my future, and then with Still Serving Incorporated, we're getting ready to adopt another school through our Adopt a School program. So I'm working
Wow.
out the memorandum of understanding between, the school and our corporation, and we're
Okay.
looking at launching our third adopted school this next upcoming 2025-2026 school year.
What age group school? Like high school or uh
Yeah, so the schools we focus on are called Innovation Early College High Schools.
okay.
So these are your schools that are their primary focus is to take, a cohort of students and that they have lots of potential, but
Hmm.
the counties are low income, right?
Okay.
And to bring, the screen and bring these students into the early college system and
Yeah.
really, really create opportunities to tap into those amazing skills. And so those are the
Yeah.
skills we focus on. And
Well, and
so,
I think our youth that is our complete goal right now because they're not being taught, the patriotism of America. So
mhm,
many of them in college are told America is this horrible place,
right.
and so I think part of our mission here for all of us servants, is to teach these kids, that you have no idea how blessed you are here. You know, it's
I've spent a lot of my time, I call it in the bleachers outside of America, looking inside
mhm.
metaphorically. And I'm like, "Man, I'll put you guys on an osprey. Put,
Yeah,
you think America is bad? Let's take a 6-month trip."
yeah, absolutely. Why don't you go check out Iraq? See how
Yes,
much fun you have there.
yeah,
I
let's
mean,
come back. Hey,
so I mean,
yeah.
I went to Africa years ago. I did a movie job there, flying a jet and a commercial, and that was enough of a culture shock for me.
Hmm.
Just how they, it's amazing because the people it's so poor, but they're happy, but still the way they live, and you just start realizing we are just so
No.
blessed in this country beyond belief. Um, in
Totally.
closing, if you could send one message to say an 18-year-old recruit, what would you say to them? What would you pass on to this youth?
Well, I don't know if you know this. I didn't put in my bio. I'm a prior drill instructor. So this is
Oh, okay.
yeah. I did
Love it.
3 years as a DI in Paris Island.
Wow.
So, if I, what I
That
would
says a
say,
lot right there.
what, what I would say to a recruit today, if I was there with my campaign cover, it was the first time they met a Marine Corps drill instructor. I would tell them that life is what you make of it. And there's external factors that you have no control, but work on
Yeah.
controlling how you react and respond to anything that
Yeah.
happens in your life journey.
What a great message. And I just can't thank you enough, Mario, for coming on the show. It is such an honor to get to know you. I love the fact that we start new friendships here, and this is a new friendship from now on. If you get to Phoenix, give me a call. We'll put that tambourine in your hand. We'll get going. And
Jeff, I appreciate
so,
it. Thank you.
yeah, and just God bless you. Keep up the good work. Keep in touch. And I just want to thank you, Mario P. Fields. What a guy, and we can't thank you enough. And say hi to your wife, your lovely wife as well. And in closing, everybody, thank you for coming to Backstage Pass. We love all of you. God bless all of you. Go out and have a great week. Set your goals. Go rock this world. And God bless America.
I've got one life that I've been given, one life that I've been living, one